Hello, welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Tusk. What this movie did really well right off the bat is intrigue me. It had a really interesting, cool trailer that sucked me in and had me interested in going to see this film. There were no screenings, no showings here. Thankfully, my friends decided to endure this with me. And endure we did. Because let's not sugarcoat it, this movie is a mess. Comedy horrors are a very weird genre. I still don't know that any movie has done it as well as The Gremlins, and this movie obviously does not come within the stratosphere of The Gremlins. Where this movie goes wrong is that it doesn't know where it wants to go at all. And Kevin Smith has a very particular style. He has his way about things, and his fingerprints are all over this movie, and I think it does a huge disservice to the final product. When it goes disturbing, it's kind of campy, but not campy enough to keep it in the funny genre. And I don't know, it does go disturbing, but I don't know if it goes enough into like gore or nastiness to really be horror, as well as there's no suspense. And I think that's what really keeps it from being an actual horror film. We don't have any build-up. I mean, there's slight build-ups, but they're just so like dragged down with this terrible pacing issue that you don't feel suspense. You're not building up to anything, and that's what really make horror films work. Is yes, they gross you out, and yes, they make you feel icky, but they also build you up to those points. And this never builds you up. Also, sometimes the comedy is interjected in terrible places. So we're working to build suspense, and then they'll interject comedy that completely destroys the suspense they built. One of the worst examples for me was Justin Long. He's giving this really impactful, emotional spiel over the phone, and it's getting you. It's like, wow, this is great. And then he throws in, I don't want to die in Canada. And it completely, you laugh because you're like, wow, really? We have to throw a Canada joke in here? And it completely ruins the mood at that moment. And that happens several times throughout the movie. And speaking of that, I think there are too many jokes at Canada's expense. I like to make fun of Canada. Sorry if there's any Canadians watching. And I think a lot of Americans like to resort to making fun of Canada, just like the rest of the world likes to make fun of the USA. So no hard feelings. But it was just too much. It was like they resorted to too much of these Canadian jokes, and you're just like, okay, really? Can we go deeper? Can we do something? And really, I felt that way about the entire film. You were just left with, what's the point of this movie? It said this was based on actual events. Beyond that, other than telling a true story, what was the point to make this movie? I kind of understand the point of the movie being that humans are the worst beast on Earth. But the person trying to make that point is one of the worst humans on Earth. So it's completely null and void. He's insane. He's crazy. So how is he going to make the point that humans are the worst beasts out there? And that message is just not forefront at all. And you don't leave the theater contemplating the bestiality of humanity and how, we're sinners and we're nasty things that just are really primal. And in the end, we end up being way worse than the rest of the animals on Earth. You don't think that. You don't contemplate that. There's no lasting message. And I think those kind of messages need to be nuggeted into this film deep, so that you actually leave with some sort of feeling and you leave with some sort of impression of the movie. This is one that maybe you'll make jokes about because it's just so ridiculous. It's so over the top. And even the disturbing imagery you'll be making jokes about that disturbing imagery for days to come, but this movie is not one you'll want to really see again, and not one that you'll care about after the jokes have gone stale. And that's a huge problem for a movie like this. It won't become a cult classic, and that's really what this kind of film needs, is a level of camp that allows it to live on, or a level of message, and in a perfect world, a mixture of both. Hence, The Gremlins continues to live on, because it's a perfect example of having a message mixed with campy funness. Another big negative for me was the sound editing, sound design, sound mixing. It was terrible. Like, it was distracting terrible. You know, there's a lot of peeing awkwardly at the beginning of this movie, and the sound of peeing was just edited so badly into the movie. The sound of chewing, which I hate it. I hate hearing people chew, and I hate when you hear that. Even the clinking and all of that in movies, this one does it a lot, and it does it badly. And even the sound of pouring, you could tell all of this was done in post-production, and it just is so distracting because it's done so poorly, and it bothered me a lot. And as I've said throughout all of this negative portion, is the pacing is really not good. We have moments that start funny or humorously, and that dragged on for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and you're like, okay, I'm over it. This is just uncomfortable. I don't care anymore. You have speeches that drag on for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and Justin Long falls asleep in the middle of the speech, just like the audience, because we're done. We don't care about these stories anymore. You've established a character, but you've really not established a character at all. Like, it's just literally this speech droning on and on for almost no reason. You could have cut to the chase a lot sooner, and the end product would have paid no difference, other than your audience wouldn't have missed 20 minutes of the film because they're taking a nap. But it's not completely lost. Let's go ahead and brush up on some of the positives that this film does well. The biggest positive for me was the acting by Michael Parks. He is very creepy. He transforms into his different personas that he's asked to do throughout the film, and I thought he did a very good job. Justin Long is also pretty good. Sometimes I thought he tried to oversell it, and overall his character, I hated. I hated his character. I didn't enjoy him. But that's usually a good testament to the actor if they could make me hate the person they're playing on screen. So I thought he did a pretty good job. Also, the creepy imagery and like the gross out factor definitely worked. There was very disturbing images in this film that you just wish you had never seen. It does push the envelope, but in a completely different way, a very kind of way, not gory, blood, horror film. And finally, a lot of the lighter humor I thought was very effective. A lot of the little one-liners, the little zingers were very funny. When it went too sexual, it did just that. I thought it went too sexual. And sometimes the jokes didn't land. But overall, I think the short, light, joyous moments were very funny. And they kept what otherwise is a very sluggishly paced movie actually moving along and pushing it along. My final point on this movie, I don't know whether to categorize it as a negative or a positive, and that is a surprise cameo from Guy Lapointe, and I very much encourage you to go ahead and look him up if you don't know who I'm talking about. But it was a welcomed and surprising cameo. Added a little bit of star power in here other than, just Justin Long or that kid from The Sixth Sense. So overall, the comedy horror genre is really hard to pull off, and that's why people don't typically do it. You don't take two contrasting genres, mash them together, and hope for the best. And that's what this movie did. It didn't know what it really wanted to be, what direction it ever really wanted to go. And in the end, the audience suffers with this sewn together, walrusy mess of a film known as Tusk. So I can't recommend this if you are interested, like I was intrigued by seeing the trailers, I say definitely wait for a rental. Get that curiosity out of the way. I would have been kicking myself if I didn't see this. It is what I expected it to be, just not executed well. You might enjoy it. You might overlook the flaws that I saw throughout the entirety of the film and enjoy yourself. So fulfill your curiosity. If you think this might be something you like, if you've never heard of Tusk, don't see it. And if you're not interested at all or just a casual moviegoer, this is definitely one you don't have to feel bad about passing on by. That has been my review of Tusk. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, click like down below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you're up to date on all of our videos. I love you all so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye! He was funny, but overplayed. He brought comedy, he brought entertainment, he brought humor, and it was just so overdone, so overplayed, and very much in the wheelhouse of crazy, kooky characters that this particular actor does very often. Just a little bit different this time. So, overall, I'm glad for the addition in the movie. I just wish that they had used it better.